Hi there. This June, we're going to have some major energetic changes, and I'm going to show you on the astrology wheel in a moment. I will share the screen, but Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune, they're all changing gears. Plus, we're in the middle of a new moon in Gemini, and we're in Gemini season, and the list goes on. So I will pause and we will take a look at the stars right now. We are starting June with Gemini, 3 planets in Gemini, the Sun, Mercury, and of course, the moon was in Gemini in the last couple of days. So that's what kicked everything off. With every sun sign season, next month will be Cancer. The new moon will be in Cancer. That's just the way the cycles go. So you need to understand that if you're going to understand astrology. Astrology is all about cycles. Now, if you see June 1st, the moon already went past Gemini into Cancer and past Leo and went into Virgo. So every 2.5 days, it changes signs. But what makes this month different from any other Gemini season? Well, because we have Saturn that just aligned into Aries. So Saturn is a very heavy energy planet. It has to do with responsibilities, duties, discipline, its boundaries, its borders, its blocks, stumbling blocks, building blocks, its karma, its lessons, it's the elder, it's being mature, it's the adult. You have to adult. And when Saturn goes around in your chart, wherever Saturn is in your natal chart, and it hits the same degree again in the same sign, that is what we call a Saturn return. It happens between 28 to 30 years. And every planet has a return. The moon, we have a lunar return, and that's how we do monthly forecasts. The sun has a solar return once a year, and that's a solar return, an annual forecast. Mercury, a little shorter than a year, and that talks about communication, learning. So if you want to know more about your chart and its cycles, check the returns, not just the popular solar and lunar returns, but Mars has a return, Black Moon Lilith has a return, Pluto has a return, although you will not, unless you live 250 years, will not see a Pluto return. However, the United States did have its its Pluto return right around the time of, guess what? COVID. Isn't that interesting? So these are very fascinating topics, but that's what makes everything different, because also Neptune is starting a brand new cycle. Saturn is starting a brand new cycle. Chiron will start a brand new cycle. Let's see in how many days. And we're going to, well, it will be in June that we have maybe July. Okay, so it'll be in July. We'll hold off for that. And the same thing, Uranus will be in July too. You see how the planets are moving as I move day to day, the chart. So when we have these planets that go into a new sign, what does that mean? It's a new cycle. That means it has a new energy. Well, what kind of energy is Aries, since Saturn, Neptune are in Aries, as well as Chiron and Venus, but Venus will be leaving and going into Taurus this month. But we don't care too much about the personal planets when they're transiting, because the slower outer planets have the long-term effects. And these long-term cycles, when they shift gears, everybody feels it. And all you have to do is look and see in your chart. You could do a bi-wheel when you compare your natal chart, which would be on the inside, and the transiting chart positions, and then you see first the conjunctions. That means whatever's making contact. You'll definitely feel it, especially if it echoes or it repeats the same theme in the chart. Definitely will feel it. And if it's on one of these bold lines, which are called the angles in your chart, you'll feel it. So Aries is a fire sign, and it's a cardinal sign. Fire signs are enthusiastic. They think of fire, a spark. They bring warmth. They're spontaneous. Cardinal means that they initiate and they start. There are also two other fire signs, and that would be the Leo fire sign, but that's fixed. So you could think of it as a fireplace, because that fire is fixed. It doesn't move around. Aries, it moves around because it's a little flame on the end of the stick, and then it burns out real quick too. And the last one would be Sagittarius. That is a mutable fire sign, and it's ever changing. But if you look up in the sky, that is the type of fire for the whole world to behold, that fiery energy of Sagittarius, because it's mutable. I hope you like the style that I use. I can't help it. I teach as I go. That's the way it is. And if you know anybody that would love to learn a little bit more about astrology, feel free to share this video, and feel free to take a look at the channel. I provide all this free information for everybody, and that's my way of giving back to the world. Everybody needs to know this stuff, because the more you know about astrology, the easier your life is going to be, because you're going to understand different personalities. We're all unique and different. So this fiery energy is with Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune are together, which means that we have organized confusion, organized chaos, because Saturn is organized and everything has a plan and it's in order. It's all about accomplishments and goals. But yet Neptune is go with the flow. Saturn is like, we have a time frame that we have to adhere to. Neptune is, let's just go with the flow. There is no plan. The plan is, there is no plan. But it's about starting, and it's about self, yourself. Self-starting could be businesses, could be new governments, because these planets are for everybody. This is what we call mundane astrology. What makes it personal is when you take your natal chart and you compare it to this. And let me share that with you so you really get a good understanding. And this is the example of a bi-wheel. These are the planets as they are existing right now on June, or May, we'll put June 1st, okay? And the inside is a natal chart. And you could see that the planet Uranus is approaching this person's natal Mercury. So all these planets are in here are the natal planets, and they do not, of course, If you look carefully, you'll see these planets on the outer edge, which they're constantly moving. These are called transits. For forecasting, we use the outer planets. You can use the inner planets or personal planets. You must be aware that these planets move at different rates of speed. So in a few days, this person is going to have a solar return. Remember, we were talking about returns? That happens once a year. The moon just had a lunar return a few days ago in Taurus, 4 degrees Taurus. If you're not doing these lunar return cycles and paying attention how that affects you every month, you're missing a lot of great information. Here's another contact. The MC, which has to do with career, is approaching natal Uranus at 29 degrees, Cancer, in the area of overseas. It'll be interesting to see if there's a career that will expand worldwide that has to do with family, home, nurturing. Very interesting. And that's how you compare these planets to you, to your own personal astrology chart, your natal chart. Now, someone asked me, do my natal chart planets move the way that the transiting planets move? Anybody know the answer? Type it in. I'll tell you at the end of the video if your natal planets move. And let's see how many of you get this right. The other thing to look at is the transiting ascendant in Libra is approaching Neptune. And then we're going to have an ascendant return in Scorpio. It's always very important to keep an eye on the transiting planets and how they affect your natal chart. This is how we make the predictions. We can predict what the planets are going to be moving into, what signs and what houses and what aspects they're going to make. These are the aspects. And over here in the grid, that we can predict without a doubt, because you can predict assuredly that the sun is going to come up on the East Coast and it's going to set on the West Coast. That's just the way it is. That we can predict. What we can't predict is how that will definitely affect you and me. But we could have some ideas and clues based on what I just showed you. How these points, as they're traveling, and you notice they go counterclockwise. The planets, we look at the astrology chart, and the first house is here, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, all the way around. It's counterclockwise, okay? And pretty soon, Mars, in this month, is going to make contact to Jupiter and Pluto. So you take these words, keywords of all these planets and signs, and that's how you start to decode this chart and what's going on, or the bi-wheel. This is called a bi-wheel because there are two wheels. The inner wheel is a natal wheel. The outer wheel is the transits, and they move, and your natal chart does not move, okay? Another thing to pay attention to when you start putting these words together, and we're going to go back to the sky now, This is June 1st. Now, last year on June 1st, the planets did not look like this. Okay? We'll do 1 year. And if you could see the positions, you got Neptune and Saturn with the North Node together. You have Pluto in Aquarius, and you have Uranus in Taurus, Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio. Last year, Black Moon Lilith was in Libra. Saturn was in Pisces. Neptune was in Pisces. And Jupiter was in Gemini, the first degree of Gemini. Chiron and Mars in Aries. North Node in Aries. Okay? So you see, different flavor, different year. Now we'll move it again. And this is 2025. Not only are the planets in different signs, but they have different relationships and conversations with the other planets. So the planets are the actors. The signs are the costumes that they wear. Are they warriors? Are they policemen? Are they mothers? Are they in an evening gown? Think of it like that. And then each planet in that character speaks to the other planets if they have the lines. These lines represent precise geometric relationships. And each symbol over here represents a certain geometric angle. The big ones, the most important ones, or the most powerful ones, is a conjunction. When these two are together, it's called a conjunction. And then opposite, that's an opposition. That's a red line, looks like a little dumbbell. And then a trine and a square sextile. They have to do with harmonics. Okay? There's a lot of order in astrology. Everything makes sense. Everything's rational. But one thing you must understand, that these charts will not make your life difficult. They're just going to trigger things in your natal chart because you planned on learning certain lessons. So let me know what you're thinking, and we're going to wrap it up and see by the end of the month how it changes. And we see that Saturn and Neptune are close to one another. There's still confusion, even with government in the area of ourselves, like how do we fit in? And there's a direct relationship to our families, our children, our homes, our nurturing, not so much the children, but your family life, the nurturing component, the care and caring in a big way. And another thing I find very fascinating, because I am researching diligently with Black Moon Lilith, especially now, because last year it was in Libra, about relationships, abusive relationships. Black Moon Lilith is the dark side of the moon, dark emotions, the things that we don't see, that are kept secret. They also are very empowering, because when you get through that, you do become empowered. It's that raw feminine energy, anything from prostitution, human trafficking, pornography. Is that not all in the news right now? And what's interesting is it's in Scorpio, which has to do with death, which has to do with what? secrets, which has to do with sex, porn, all that stuff. And we're going to have a great understanding that things change. Every time these planets move into a new sign, it's a big deal. But what about when it moves into the new zodiac cycle, the whole beginning of the 12 sign cycle? That's a very big deal. So pay attention, compare it to your natal chart, and if you're interested in learning astrology, you could check the link in the bio or get on our website, holistichealingastrology.com, and you can see what classes we offer or get on our wait list so you'll be the first to know with all the perks, okay? We do small classes that are live through Zoom. And I don't know about you, but when I was learning astrology, and I'm always learning, right now I'm finishing up one workshop, and then the first week of June, I'll be starting another 3-hour workshop because you want to keep up to date. Learning astrology requires reading and going to places where they have live workshops. Now you could do it on the internet, which makes it much more affordable. If you like the format, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate all the calls. If there's anything that you want to learn about, let me know. Now I will be doing some more teaching videos on the channel. And when I get a moment, because my assistant is coming, but the universe didn't bring the assistant yet, and I almost said her, but we don't know. So probably it will be a her. And I need to separate my playlists out. If you want quick stuff, little quizzes and things like that, TikTok is the place to go. Thank you all. Till next time, all my love. Bye-bye.